Civ 7's Test of Time update has completely reworked victories into a competitive points-based race in which you win by having significantly more points than second place, with the threshold decreasing over time. The most complicated of these might just be the new culture victory, which is very reminiscent of Civ 6's culture victory, focused entirely around tourism with a few key differences. Namely, your tourism is now a static total rather than something you accrue every turn. Either way, it gets pretty complicated. Want to know more? Let's get straight into it and make sure you watch until the end, because the modern age is where tourism really starts to take off. In the age of antiquity, sources of tourism are quite scarce, and those that do exist are going to be relatively minor. So let's start with the simplest one, which is wonders. In the antiquity age, building wonders provides 4 tourism each, while settling and improving one tile of a natural wonder will provide 10 tourism. Looking at the civic tree, researching entertainment will make it so that every time your empire enters a celebration, you gain 2 tourism. Now, if you're playing Mexico, this is actually doubled to 4 tourism. Also worth noting that this scales negatively with celebration duration, so picking someone like Jose Rizal will actually mean you get 50% less tourism from celebrations throughout your game, assuming you're chaining them consistently, which isn't usually that hard to do. So I do hope they change this in a future update, perhaps to something like gain +1 tourism every 5 turns while you're celebrating, so that celebration duration isn't a downside. Building unique improvements, like those that you get from your Civ, or those gained from becoming the suzerain of a city-state, also provide 1 tourism for every type you build in each settlement. So that means you can only get 1 point per cultural improvement, per gold improvement, and so on. So make sure you're befriending as many different types of independent powers as possible. Civ 7 really wants you to do this, as each time you build the same improvement, it gets exponentially more expensive, so variety is key here. In a similar vein, your Civ's unique buildings also provide 1 tourism each, so as Persia I don't actually have a unique building, but that would be something like the Mayans, who have 2 unique buildings that form their unique quarter. Each of those unique Mayan buildings would give them 1 point. In Antiquity, there's nothing in the science tree that directly helps us with tourism other than unlocking wonders, which, as you said before, provide a little bit of tourism intrinsically. It's also worth noting that if you capture a wonder off another player, it's only worth 1 tourism, whereas if you build it yourself, it's worth 4, as you can see here where I captured the pyramids in Petra versus when I built the Oracle myself. So that's it for the Antiquity Age. Overall, very simple at this stage of the game, but exploration and beyond is where things start to open up a lot. In the Exploration Age, this is where the new triumphs start to come into play, in addition to everything we had to play around with before, so let's start with those. The most interesting triumph that you could consider going for in the Exploration Age is Gwlad y Cestil, and I'm sure that's exactly how it's pronounced, which has the requirement of building 30 fortifications in your empire, and this will allow you to take this dedication in the modern age that makes all of your fortifications provide 2 tourism, which is genuinely not a bad way to go if you really want to commit to spamming walls as someone like the Normans or the Daviet in the next age. Note that obsolete fortifications from previous ages won't receive the tourism, but all of your medieval walls and exploration won't help you here. Other triumphs worth mentioning here are Eightfold Path. If you're the first player to build 8 temples, this dedication will allow you to get an extra great work slot on all of your happiness buildings, which is good if you're planning on going for lots of explorers and artifacts in the next stage. Otherwise, we also have Kingdom of Heaven, which straight up gives you 36 tourism when you convert 25 settlements to your religion. Very simple and straightforward there. Speaking of religion, a major source of your tourism in the Exploration Age is still likely going to be from relics. The method in which you gain these is going to be determined by your reliquary belief when you found your religion. Once you've decided on how you're going to gain your relics, they'll only be worth tourism once you put them on display in your empire. Now, your palace has 1 great work slot by default, and temples all come with 1 slot by default as well. This can be tripled in towns that are specialized as religious sites, but there are also many wonders that contain great work slots, as well as additional beliefs you can gain that open up more slots from either temples or science buildings. Worth noting too that there are quite a few civic and scientific masteries that provide a free relic, indicated by this symbol here. The architecture mastery also allows your pavilions to have a great work slot, and each relic displayed will provide 3 tourism. A couple of the previous sources of tourism will continue to increase this age as well, so celebrations now provide 4 tourism instead of 2, and unique buildings will provide 2 points instead of 1. For the most part, the Exploration Age really is still all about religion, so that should be your main focus, but don't sleep on the wall tourism build. I think there's some serious sauce to be had there. In the modern age, this is where the culture victory really starts to open up quite significantly, and there are a lot of levers you can pull to increase your tourism. So let's start out by looking at the science tree. Down at the industrialization mastery, completing this will provide all settlements connected by rail with an additional 3 tourism from unique improvements. Note that this is still restricted by only 1 unique improvement type per settlement, so 1 gold improvement, 1 science improvement, and so on. So again, you're incentivized to suzerain many different types of independent powers, rather than focus on one type like you might want to do with a science victory at this stage of the game. And a reminder here as well, to connect your settlements by rail, you must begin by researching industrialization and then build a rail station in your capital. From here, any other settlements that are connected to the capital via a road will have these roads upgraded to railroads once you build a rail station in them. So once I complete the rail station here in Nineveh, you'll see that this road here that was previously just a regular road is now a railroad. From here, you would be able to connect other settlements to to Nineveh by daisy chaining them via the rail connection. You can also do this in towns, and rail stations can be built at half the cost if specialized as a factory town. Note that if the settlement is connected via water, you may need to build a port in addition to the rail station to form that connection. Now granted, you should take all of this with a grain of salt, as unfortunately connections have been one of the buggiest and most enigmatic aspects of Civ 7 since launch, but I'm pretty sure this is currently the community's best understanding. Correct me if I'm wrong down below. Moving to another technology here is flight. Very similar to Civ 6, researching flight and then building an aerodrome will provide 3 tourism on unique buildings in that settlement. Note that unique buildings doesn't include unique improvements like the ones we just talked about from industrialization. Unique buildings only come from your choice of Civ or from syncretism. So for example, in this game I'm playing as Assyria, so both the Citadel and the Royal Library would both count towards buildings for the purpose of flight. Not stuff like Trungtrak's Water Puppet Theatre, which, despite what the game tells you here, is not a unique building. This goes on top of an existing rural improvement and will not be boosted by flight. There are of course plenty of wonders also in the science tree which will all provide 12 tourism by default at this stage of the game, but worth noting that Eiffel Tower, unlocked at Radio, can also provide a pretty substantial tourism boost, providing 2 per quarter in the city that you build it. Moving on to the civic tree, there are some familiar faces here that you'll recognize if you played at launch, and that is natural history, where you unlock explorers. Explorers allow you to dig up artifacts, which can end up being one of your biggest sources of tourism exclusive to the modern age. Just as at launch, explorers allow you to move over to these dig sites on the map, and if you get there first, you are able to excavate the artifact, which provides 5 tourism once you put it on display in your palace, a museum, or a wonder that has great work slots. Further to this, once you research hegemony, significantly more artifacts will be revealed on each continent once they are researched at a museum or university, and the player that carries out that research will instantly get a free artifact for doing so per continent. Another key civic you're going to want to look at if you liked playing with appeal and seaside resorts in Civ 6 is globalism, which allows your settlements specialized as resort towns to provide +4 tourism on improved tiles if they're breathtaking, provided you have 7 of those breathtaking tiles improved in that settlement. So if you do manage to grow out a settlement to meet this threshold, you're looking at a minimum of 28 tourism from a single resort town, which is enormous. Unfortunately, there is no way right now to manipulate a tile's appeal, despite what the Civipedia might tell you, so this is a very tough requirement to fulfill, but the payoff is a huge chunk of tourism to compensate. Very much looking forward to a future update where appeal becomes a more interactive mechanic. Moving on, let's return to hegemony and take a look at the hegemony mastery, which unlocks the World's Fair wonder. A familiar face for sure, this provides you with 6 culture, influence, happiness, and science for some reason, but more importantly, this adds 2 tourism to every wonder in your empire. So building the World's Fair no longer instantly wins the game, but it is a huge late game boost for your tourism, if you focused on wonders throughout the game. Lastly, let's look at the capitalism mastery, which provides +10 tourism for each player that you have at least 2 trade routes with. Depending on how many players are left in the game by this point, this can also be a pretty substantial amount of tourism for your empire. Note that because you need to have 2 active trade routes, you'll need to find a way to increase your trade route limit. And this can be done by either using a diplomatic endeavor to improve your trade relations, taking the gold-fluted file memento, taking the Let's Calcutta deal dedication in the exploration age, or playing as Achaemenid Xerxes in order to be able to take advantage of capitalism. I should also mention that each future civic you complete also provides 10 tourism and 1 artifact in the modern age. And of course we have a whole host of dedications that provide instant rewards in the modern age, as these are all minor triumphs. So Geographic Society rewards you for pursuing artifacts, Wonders of the Modern World and Wonderland reward you for building wonders, as you'd expect. Manifesto is all about policy slots, and Zeitgeist rewards you for finishing the entire civic tree. If you want to see all this information in-game, you can hover over the information icon in the victory overview screen, though as you might have noticed, it doesn't really cover everything that I've showcased in this video. In terms of leaders that can help you with a cultural victory, of course, any of the cultural leaders are a natural fit, but specifically with the new update, Green Xerxes will help a lot with tourism from capitalism, as I mentioned before. Hatshepsut is of course the premier wonder building leader, and Jose Rizal can help you easily chain constant celebrations throughout the entire game, but note that the increased celebration duration kind of works against you here, providing a net 50% loss tourism from celebrations. In terms of civs, there are a few unique ways of generating tourism here as well. Greece gets 3 tourism every time they suzerain a city-state throughout all 3 ages, while Siam receives 12 tourism when they suzerain a city-state but only in the modern age. Both Han and Ming China get 1 tourism from each segment of their Great Wall improvements. Iceland's naval units can coastal raid archaeological sites in the modern age, instantly providing double the artifacts compared to a regular explorer. Mexico receives double tourism from starting celebrations. And finally, the Ottomans receive a great work every time they enter a celebration or conquer a capital in the exploration age. And in the modern age, they receive 2 artifacts if it's excavated within Ottoman territory. So that is the complete guide to winning a cultural victory in Civ 7's Test of Time update. What did you think about the new victory condition? Does it live up to its predecessor with Civ 6's incredible tourism system? I'm not convinced it's quite there yet personally, but let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. If you enjoyed the video, then leave a like, and if you want to see more Civ 7 content, make sure you subscribe and have a look at some of my other videos. Cheers everyone, have a good one. Thank you as always to the channel members who support me month to month, which is Carsius, Int Paladin, Awesome DayZ, Chase Bandy, Tronty Wanty, Shamal TV, Chris1 Mac, and JLA7. Your support is very much appreciated.